Once upon a time, in a quiet little town nestled between gentle hills and winding streams, lived a girl named Lila. Lila had skin as soft as silk, her cheek forever rosy, and hair that flowed like a river of gold. But her beauty wasn't earned from effort. It came from her days spent in leisure. Lila was the only child of a wealthy family. Her parents adored her and pampered her with everything she desired: silken dresses, jewel combs, and sweets that arrived in boxes tied with satin ribbons. But the townspeople all knew Lila for one trait more than her beauty. She was incredibly lazy. While other girls fetched water, helped their mothers sew, or played in the meadows, Lila could be found napping by the window or admiring her reflection in a polished mirror. Her parents, growing concerned that their beloved daughter would never learn the ways of the world, decided to do something drastic. One crisp morning, they sat Lila down. "We're giving you this purse of gold," her father said gently. "It's time you begin learning how to manage your own life, darling." Lila blinked at the heavy pouch in her hands, weighing the coins in her palm. She smiled, but not for the reason her parents hoped. She didn't plan to invest or learn anything at all. No, she thought, why struggle when I can simply pay others to do things for me? And that's exactly what she did. She hired someone to cook for her, another to clean, one to brush her hair, and even a young boy to read stories aloud while she lounged. She never lifted a finger. Days melted into weeks, weeks into months. But just as her indulgent routine became second nature, something changed. One afternoon, she opened her coin purse and found only a few coins remaining. Her heart skipped. She counted again. Surely there must be a mistake. But no. Her fortune had vanished, and with it the helpers. One by one, they left when their pay stopped coming. Lila sat on her bed, surrounded by dainty clothes, candy wrappers, and dust. Her once golden life had turned gray. Too lazy to even cry, she sighed, curled up in a blanket, and fell into another nap. Hunger soon gnawed at her, and her cupboard, once filled with cakes and preserves, now echoed empty. That was when a voice rang through the town square. Hear ye, called the town crier. Her Majesty, the Queen, declares a royal banquet to seek a bride for Prince May. All maidens of noble heart and industrious spirit are invited. Lila jolted upright. Her heart thumped with excitement. A banquet. Prince May. A palace filled with delicacies. She imagined herself as a princess, lounging in silk robes, never worrying about wake again. "This is my chance," she squealed, twirling in the middle of a filthy room. But as she turned toward her wardrobe, her joy vanished. Her dresses were stained. Her shoes, scuffed and dull. There wasn't a single elegant thing she could wear. "I need a new dress and shoes," she cried. "And fast." For the first time in her life, Lila considered getting a job. "Just a few days," she murmured to herself. "Enough to buy a new gown and slippers. Then I'll never work again." The very next morning, Lila walked into town, wrinkling her nose at the dust and smells. She came upon a bakery, the scent of warm bread drawing her in. "Excuse me," she said, brushing flour off her skirt. "Are you hiring?" The bakery owner, Mr. Dalton, looked at her skeptically. "You ever needed dough before?" Lila shook her head. "Well, it's hard work," he said. "But if you can make 10 loaves today, I'll pay you a fair coin." Lila smiled sweetly. "Of course." But hours into kneading, her arms ached. Her dress was covered in flour. Her hair stuck to her face. She groaned and looked around. Then an idea struck. Once Mr. Dalton stepped out, she folded paper bags into the shape of loaves and stacked them in the basket. She placed 3 actual loaves on top, making it look like she had finished the task. When the baker returned, he beamed. "Well done, girl," he said, and handed her a pouch of coins. Lila rushed out without another word. Fool, she thought. That was easy. Still short on funds, she went looking for another job. She came across an old fruit vendor struggling with a basket of apples and oranges. "Can I help?" she asked sweetly. The man brightened. "Yes. Sort the good fruits from the rotten ones while I go to the market." When he left, Lila lazily stacked the shiny fruits on top and buried the bad ones below. When the old man returned, he was thrilled. "Bless you, child," he said, handing her a coin purse. Lila ran off again. She repeated this tactic with an old woman who needed help washing clothes. Instead of scrubbing, Lila soaked the clothes in water, flipped them inside out, and hung them to dry. The woman, seeing damp clothes, believed they were clean and paid her gratefully. By the week's end, Lila had enough coin for a sparkling gown of sapphire silk and glittering silver shoes. She bought the finest perfume she could find and styled her hair in tight, glossy curls. When the day of the banquet arrived, she looked into the mirror and smiled. "I'll be royalty by sundown," she whispered to her reflection. The palace shimmered under lantern light. Music floated in the air, and noble guests dined at tables filled with golden platters. Lila walked in confidently, every eye turning toward her. Her gown sparkled. Her posture was perfect. She stood with the other maidens, head high, waiting for Prince Amay. The prince arrived, tall and graceful, his smile warm and inviting. As he moved through the crowd, greeting guests, Lila's heart raced. He approached her, and just as he opened his mouth to speak, "That's her," a voice rang out. It was Mr. Dalton, the baker. He pointed at Lila, face stern. "She tricked me, faked the bread, and took my money." Lila froze. Another voice rose. "She fooled me too. Hid rotten fruits," shouted the old fruit seller. "That girl pretended to wash my clothes," the old woman cried. A wave of whispers swept through the hall. More people came forward, sharing tales of Lila's laziness and lies. Lila's cheeks burned. Her knees trembled. The prince looked confused and turned to the queen. The queen stood, elegant and tall. She raised a hand and silence fell. "Beauty alone does not make a worthy bride," she said firmly. "A noble heart and honest hands are what the royal family seeks." She looked straight at Lila. "You have misrepresented yourself and deceived many. You are not fit to join this house." The guards escorted Lila out as tears streaked her painted face. She stumbled into the night, shoes dirty, dress snagged on a bush. She wandered through the streets until she reached her home. It was just as she left it, messy and dark. She sank into her chair and stared at her reflection. This time, she didn't admire it. She felt ashamed. Days passed. One morning, Lila rose and did something unthinkable. She walked to the bakery. "I want to help," she said. "I don't want pay. I just want to make things right." Mr. Dalton looked surprised but nodded. Lila worked hard. She kneaded dough until her arms shook, swept the floors, and helped customers. For the first time, she felt pride in something she had actually done. After her shift, the baker handed her a basket of bread. "You've done well," he said. Lila smiled with gratitude. She visited the fruit vendor and helped him sort baskets for a whole week. She returned to the old woman and washed her clothes until they were spotless. She apologized to everyone she had wronged. Back home, she cleaned every room, washed her clothes, and even cooked her own meals using a cookbook she borrowed from the library. Weeks turned into months. Lila took on more jobs and began saving her earnings. As time passed, people began to speak of Lila again, but no longer with disdain. "She's different now. Have you seen how hard she works? She's kind, too. Helped me carry my cot when it broke." Lila became known for more than her beauty. She became known for her transformation, her honesty, and her determination. Years later, she opened her own small bakery, where she hired young girls and taught them not only to bake but also the value of honesty and hard work. Though she never became a princess, Lila had built a life she could be proud of, a life with purpose. And every time she passed by the palace or saw her old dress hanging in the back of her closet, she remembered the night of the banquet, the moment her world shattered and the day she began building a better one. Thanks for watching.